Good afternoon, happy Tuesday, and welcome to Coffee and a Card. So I am Holly with Handcrafted Blessings. Always happy to welcome you here for our weekly live. So I always just take a second here to get set up. I like to pull up the comments on my iPad just so that I can talk to you throughout the video. When Facebook cooperates and shows me your comments. So welcome to everybody who is coming in here today. Hi Jane, hi Karen, welcome everybody. So I try to say hi as people's names like flash by on my screen, but sometimes I get distracted because I'm talking and I can't always say hi to all of you. But a nice big group hello. So I'm going to be showing you, I actually have two cards that we're going to make here today, and I'm going to open some happy mail, and we're going to just chat, and it's going to be fun. So welcome to everybody as you're coming in here today. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and start with some happy mail. So this is what I call the cards that you guys send to me because, well, they make me happy. I love seeing your creativity. I love seeing what you're working on and how, all of our minds work so differently. And so it's so fun to see your cards and creations and what it is that you've been making. So that's why I call it that. And that's why I like to show it here on Facebook Live as well. So the first one comes from Manny from Oklahoma. Sorry, I got something in my eye here. So we've got a fun little Christmas card here. Look at that. So I'll hold it up closer so you can see there's some die cuts there that have been cut out and then the ornament stuck in there. Very cool Christmas card. It's blank on the inside, but that's really neat looking. Okay, the next one comes from Linda Johnson from Florida. Oh, this is cute. It's a little note card, and I think that this was stamped and then die cut is what it looks like. So, and then just put on a note card that looks like fresh freesia is the color. So, very cute. Okay, our next one is from Anne from Illinois. Oh, it's a Halloween card. So here we've got our spooky haunted house with all of the bats flying up. And what a great use of that ribbon right there that she used. Oh, sorry. I was trying to figure out how to open this. Give me a second. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, I get it. It doesn't open like a traditional card. So I was like, wait, what's happening here? Okay, so I'm going to hold my finger here so that we can do this. So it opens like this, and you've got the little kid trick-or-treating. Oh, my finger's in the way. There we go, and it says boo. So very cute. That's a fun little trick for this card. There we go. Okay, next we have one from Jenny in Montana. Using the wisteria set that I guess I was told that you can use these this way. This is what I would call hanging upside down, but you can also make flowers that go this way. So I'm no gardener. I don't quite understand how it works, but apparently you can use these either way. So it says, to a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. The little strip of that fresh freesia. Actually, no, I think that's Highland Heather with Highland Heather there on the inside. All right, last card we've got from, this is from Chad Williams. He works at Stampin' Up. Let's see what they're sending me a card for. It says, you're absolutely amazing. With that, pointing to the wrong side. The contour stamp set is where that comes from. Oh, it's a congratulations note for getting the Norway trip. That's very cool. How kind of them to do that. So it just says, congrats on earning the Norway trip. Such a huge accomplishment from Chad Williams. So that's really cool that Stampin' Up! Does stuff like that. All right. So Kathy Kathy, no, I have not received the happy mail that you haven't mailed. That's funny. No, sorry. It's one of these days I'll just have to stop by your house and pick it up, right? Next time I'm in Illinois. Then you won't have to mail it. So, okay. Welcome, everybody. I know a bunch of people have come in since I started showing the happy mail, and so welcome. Thank you, Val. That is very sweet of you. Welcome to this video. And before we jump into, I've got 2 card projects that we're going to make today. But before I do that, I do want to comment on a post I shared last night because I have received a lot of reactions and comments on that post. I have been, the last couple weeks, I have really been struggling with my grief. And some of you are new here, so you may not know, I unexpectedly lost my mom last year, and I miss her. I miss her so much. And right now, it's just been harder. I don't know why. There's nothing particularly, there's nothing specific happening, but I think this is just the adventure, that's a terrible word. This is the journey of grief. And I think from my post and the comments that many of you have made, you also understand the journey of grief. And so I don't want to come on here every Facebook Live and just pretend that everything is sunshine and roses when I'm also deeply struggling with grief. And so I wrote that last night after I bawled my eyes out, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad that it's resonating with some of you and that some of you are feeling encouraged and less alone in your grief. And for those of you who have not experienced deep loss, that is wonderful. I'm glad you haven't, but I bet you know somebody who has, and perhaps hearing what I have said or what others have said, it'll help you to be present for people who are struggling with grief in their life. So that's all. I just wanted to say that real quick before we jump into these next 2 card projects. I really appreciate you guys' your care, your support, your encouragement, not only for me, but for other people in this group. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a card. Actually, 2. We're going to make 2 cards today. I guess I'm an overachiever. No, I was just going through some of my kits, and I always have like some card samples and stuff sitting around ready to be made. And I was realizing that I have a couple I hadn't shown here that it's time. It's time to show. And I need to take a drink first. Okay, so I have 2 cards. We're really going to be featuring a lot of the in colors today. So as you know, we got, let's see here, take this one out, and we'll add these other 2 right here. Okay, so back in April, May, I think it was, we got 5 new in colors. So these are colors that stick around for 2 years. So these would be called the 2022 to 2024 in colors. So they're here for 2 years and then they go away. So these are the new 5 that we have been working with. Now I'm also going to incorporate today Polished Pink, which is actually one of the in colors that came out last year. So Polished Pink would be a 2021 to 2023. So next year it'll retire. That's kind of the cycle of those colors. But today I wanted to use Orchid Oasis, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, and Polished Pink. So these are the 4 we're going to use. 2 on each card. Okay, so I will mostly be using the Bottled Happiness stamp set because I'm just loving this flower die right here. We're going to tie it in with the Vintage Bottle Punch, which punches out this shape right here. So, and then I'm also going to use a couple of elements from the Cup of Tea stamp set, so you'll see those throughout our 2 projects. But let's start with the first one. So my first card here is this one. And what I don't know if you can tell because it's really muted, but this background here is actually all hand scored. Okay, so I don't know if I can hold it up to help you to see that, but there's actually, it's not embossed. These are actually score lines here on the back. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I wanted to kind of say that as we go into making this card, because that's actually where we're going to start. We're going to start with our parakeet party that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to grab my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you could also use the Stampin' Trimmer, because the trimmer has both a cutting and a scoring tool on it. So that would work as well. I am going to start at, let's see here, 1/4 inch. Okay, so I'm going to start at 1/4 inch, and then every 1/2 inch, I am going to put a score line. So I've got 1 1/4, 1 3/4, oops, that is my spot, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, we're just going all the way across here, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, and nope, that's it. That's what we got. Okay. So we put our own little, basically embossing. It makes your paper look like it was embossed with a bunch of lines. So you could do any width apart on your lines. I've chosen to do 1/2 inch, but I mean, you could do 1/4 inch, 1/8, I mean, honestly, any measurement you want. You could also do random. It wouldn't have to be an exact pattern. So that one, oh, Kathy says, I should have said, if you don't have a scoreboard, you need one. Yes, a scoreboard is wonderful. It is so much easier to score everything with the scoreboard than it is with the trimmer. You can definitely do it with the trimmer, and it's super handy for like scoring our card bases. But when you're scoring a lot, it's really great. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I am going to put it on the front of my card. So my card base is also Parakeet Party, and it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So just, you know, what I like to refer to as our standard card base. Okay. All right, then we're going to take, I've got some pieces here that are already die cut for me, so I wouldn't have to do some die cutting today. But here I have Starry Sky, and I have used the Stylish Shapes dies. Now the Stylish Shapes dies also has this other one. It has the stitched squares. It's got stitched circles. It has these flag banners in a variety of sizes. So they're really great dies for your sentiment pieces. So this is out of Starry Sky. We've got our basic white square. And then what I've done is I've measured that square and added an 1/8 inch border. Okay. So we're going to be adding our Orchid Oasis here to the back of it. So our Orchid Oasis is 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Now you can do this with any of the die cuts. So, you know, you can pick a, maybe you use the deckled rectangles or the stitched rectangles or the scallop contour dies. You just measure your die cut and then you add, you know, an 1/8 or 1/4 inch, and you can create a nice little mat for it to sit on. Now I'm not going to attach those two quite yet because we need to do some stamping. So with our stamps, we need to be able to line up these two stamps. So I want to show you how I do that so that I'm not constantly having to realign them, you know, like moving the blocks and all of that. So what I typically like to do, we're going to take, let's see, Parakeet Party and Orchid Oasis. We're going to start with Orchid Oasis. And what I like to do, I'm just going to walk you through this because I want to give you a little tip for working with stamps like this before we actually stamp our piece. So I'm just going to stamp some scrap paper. This happens to be a piece of grid paper. Now I have chosen, this is the way that I've stamped it. Okay, so I have decided that this is the way that I want it upright. Okay, this is up for me, the top. So what I've done is I have marked the top of my block with a piece of washi tape. Okay, you could put a Post-it note, really anything, just to mark the top of my block. So now every time I pick it up, I know that that needs to be at the top for me so that I stamp it the right direction. So while we've got the ink open, we'll go ahead and we'll stamp on our piece here. And then we will you get some choices here because it's a little bit wider than your square, so I was just looking to see where I kind of wanted it. And then we'll line up our next one. Okay, so here we've got our flowers. So next I'm going to take my flower piece and I'm going to open the correct ink. And what I find really helpful to look for here are the leaves. Okay, there is a larger set of 3 leaves that I typically think of as being towards the top. So it's a great way to kind of start as you are finagling your way around this. So as we are lining up here, now I'm trying to do this upside down, so this will be very interesting. I am looking at the centers of the flowers, and I'm looking at where the leaves will kind of go in between. And so that way I can find where this belongs. Now, once again, I have marked the top of my block with a piece of tape so that I know exactly where to do it, okay? So now it would be very easy for me to mass produce this card. So now that I know where that is, I'm going to come over here and we're going to line those up once again and let that sit. Okay, so now we have our full bouquet of flowers and leaves. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and actually clean those off because we're going to use these 2 same stamps for our next card. So this way I won't forget whether these are clean stamps because we're switching colors for the next card. All right. So there we have it. I'm going to set my grid paper aside. We don't need that again right now. Now what I wanted was just a small stamp to be able to put on here. So I decided to go with, grab the stamp set here. In Cup of Tea, there's this long, small stamp set here that says, "Thank you for your friendship." And I'm actually just going to do a part of it. So I'm going to set that stamp here. And I'm going to grab a block. And now we need a Post-it note. You can also use your masking paper. I just didn't grab it before this video, but the masking paper would also work. And we're just going to cover up everything but "thank you." Okay, so everything but "thank you" is covered up. So now I can ink up my stamp, take off that Post-it note, and I'm just going to add my words right up here in the corner. So it just says "thank you." So I'll hold that up here. Now you can see the little words up there in the corner. Close the little thing here. Get our inky Post-it note out of the way. Okay, so now I'm going to need some Orchid Oasis, some of this metallic, I think it's called metallic woven ribbon is what it's called. And we're going to tie a bow here. So I'm using Orchid Oasis because it ties in nicely with the ink color. Parakeet Party would probably look good too. So I'm just gonna tie my bow here. And that's probably a good size. So I can trim the ends here. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna grab a little glue dot and we're gonna attach this on our flowers. Just to give a little bit of extra bling here. Now, because this is a very narrow bow, what I want to make sure, I don't want my glue dot sticking out from behind. So once I have my glue dot on here, I'm actually just going to kind of roll it with my finger so that it stays right behind the knot. Because I don't want any of that glue dot peeking out from behind my ribbon. So, like so. Add a little fun sparkle to the front of our card. Tuck in that glue dot so that it's all the way underneath there. And I usually just use my fingers to kind of maneuver it around so that you make sure that that glue dot is totally hidden. Because I would hate to put this in an envelope and it totally sticks to the envelope, and then when my recipient gets it, they're actually ripping the card apart in order to get the envelope off. So when you're using, well, really just in making cards, if you're concerned about your adhesive, make sure you just feel the top of your card before you finish up, so you can kind of decide if there's extra adhesive somewhere that you didn't want it to be. Okay, so a couple of steps we'll do now. We will put our square on the Orchid Oasis square. So again, the Orchid Oasis square measures 2.5 by 2.5. Just tying in our whole color combination here. And then I am going to take our Starry Sky. Now what you're going to notice is this is not big enough for the technique I was trying to do. So we're just going to take it and we're going to cut it in half. And then I can, let's see, make sure I still have this upright. I can put a little bit of tape here. And we are going to put our banner sticking out from behind the card. So as I do this, I can make sure that it's straight across, that it is right where I want it to be, and sticking out as far or as little as you want it to be. You'll see I've got quite a bit of extra here on the back, so I could have made it stick out a lot more if I wanted to, but this is really just the hint of color that I wanted. Okay, so then we will add some dimensionals. Make sure this gets stuck on here. There we go. And we'll add this to our card front. All right, get that here. And we'll stick this guy right there. Right about there looks good. Okay, and then I have a piece of basic white so that we can finish off the inside of our card. Now I think it would also work to add some of those flowers to the inside, or, you know, to add some more words, but for this particular time I chose to just leave it blank. So we'll just crease it with our bone folder, and there we go. We've got our little card. So you might be able to tell how you could switch up your color combination and make this card in all sorts of different colors. So in fact, I'm about to show you another color combination for these two stamps right here. But we're going to do a whole different card design. So our next card is going to feature the Tahitian Tide Parakeet Party and polished pink. So this is the card. Now, like I said, I was going to tie in some things from the cup of tea set. So this is actually a tea tag from the cup of tea dies. So you're going to see that coming in here today. But we're going to be stamping and punching our vintage bottle out here. So got a few different things we're going to work through. So first, I'm going to unfold this. You know, I held a card class at my house the other day, and I was telling them how I actually find it easiest to make my cards while my base is flat. Once my base is folded, you end up dealing with this constant like opening here. And especially if you're trying to center pieces or, you know, lay things out, I just find it easier to work with the base when it's flat. So I just want to offer you that little tip in case you've been struggling with that as an option for you. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of white and we're going to stamp this. This piece measures 3.5 by 4 3/4. And we're going to stamp it with our polished pink and our Tahitian tide. So we'll start with, I'm sorry, not Tahitian tide. Just kidding. Tahitian tide comes into play later. We want green leaves. I was about to stamp my leaves in blue. I don't know. Maybe there's a plant somewhere that has blue leaves, but that's not quite the look I was going for. All right, so polished pink, we're just gonna stamp this here. Again, I've got that nice washi tape up there telling me which way is the top. Okay, so then I'll get my parakeet party. And we'll just line these up. Right about there. So now here you can see what it looks like to have polished pink and Tahitian tide. Oh my gosh, I keep saying Tahitian tide. Polished pink and parakeet party. How about that? We are going to use Tahitian tide. In fact, we're going to use it right now. But I just kept saying the wrong word. Okay. So we're going to take that, and I need a scrap piece of white here. So I've got it next to me. I'm just trying to separate them. There we go. So we're going to take our bottle, and I am using the punch that is, or the stamp, that is going to give us a nice solid image of the bottle. But it also leaves some detail, as you can see. So there's some gaps in the stamp where you get the detailing of the bottle. Then I can take my vintage bottle punch and we'll stick that in here, line it up, and punch out our shape. So here we go. We've got our little bottle. Okay, I need my tag, and let's grab a couple of stamps here. I actually think I want the outline. Even though I've already die cut this, I'm going to go ahead and just add the outline. So we're going to add that. And then I'm going to be using the stamp from Bottled Happiness that says, "Wine Not," as in, why not? So we'll start with this outline. Whoops, didn't get it fully inked. Okay, there we go. All right, and then we'll take "Why Not," and we'll stick that. Ooh, that actually might not work. Hold on a second. I gotta see, can we still read that? Let's see if I can pick it up. Yeah, it's still readable. It's a little wide. I maybe should have not done the outline, but on my sample, I actually used the word "enjoy" and enjoy comes from, if I bring back this here, this actually comes from the cup of tea set, but I just decided right before the video when I was mounting all my stamps, I thought, you know what, let's just switch up the words. So that's what happened. All right, so now let's put this aside. We will take our white, and so our white measured 3.5 by 4 3/4, and we're going to give it just 1/8 of an inch border. So this black comes in measuring at 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. So 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Just to give us a little hint of a background. And then we'll put that on our card front. And there we go. Now, just to move it out of the way, I actually have a second piece of the white. It measures the same, the 3.5 by 4 3/4. I decided to just use the same exact size for the inside of my card, and I'm just going to get that out of the way just so that we can finish making this card. But that's for my insert. Okay? All right, so we've got our bottle, and I'm going to grab some of this Baker's Twine Essentials pack. Now, it comes with 5 different colors. I've just used up a few of them. So it comes with white, vanilla, black, Sahara sand, and crumb cake, I believe are the colors. So we're going to use some black. Since I've got that black border, I thought black would be appropriate here. And I'm just going to tie this around the neck of my bottle. Because basically what we're doing is we're making a little place for that tag to hang. Let's see if I can move this over here. You could also tie a knot, or tie a bow the same way that I did on the previous card. Just tie it, cut it off, glue dot it to the front here. That would also work. I just decided to do it a different way right now. So what I like to do when I'm tying on a shape like this that just keeps wanting to move, I'm first just going to tie a knot. I find that it just makes it easier to work with. I'm not constantly trying to keep this tight while I get my bow done. Okay, so now I have a nice little knot here. So now what I can do is put in my bow. And I think just having the knot, it makes it so much simpler. I'm not constantly trying to hold that thing tight so that I can tie my bow. So it just works for me. I think I have decided that bow tying is a lot of trial and error. Lots of people have different techniques for how they tie their bows, how they get them pretty. And I think you just have to experiment with them and then decide what works for you. So I think that's kind of where I've landed on the whole issue of tying bows. All right, so I'm just gonna cut this off. So now I have my bottle with a bow at the top. We'll just wind this up here. And so we can attach our tag. So this would be a great little card to include with a bottle of wine for a friend. So we'll just stick this right here. So it's coming out from the little bow, like so. And then we'll take and we'll put some dimensionals on here. So grab another sheet. And we will dimensionalize this bottle. And that is going to have the flowers coming out of it on the front of our card. So we'll just stick it right here. So it's like a whole bouquet of flowers popping out of our wine bottle. Or as I bring back my sample, you could see you could also do the tag with enjoy. You know, really any words you can find that are small enough to fit the tag would totally be an option here. Now, you'll see on the sample I used crumb cake for my ribbon, but I was actually out of the crumb cake, as you can see in this particular one. And rather than start a new pack of the baker's twine, I just thought I'd switch it to the black since we've got that in the border. Now, if you came in late, the first card that I did was a thank you card using the same flowers. But as you can see, sometimes you can just stamp the flowers on a square and use that as a decorative element on your card, or you can have them popping out of the bottles that come in this. And you could also use this bottle for the flowers as well. So this bottled happiness gives you a lot of great options for using these flowers. So I hope that gives you some new ideas for how to use the in colors as well as this bottled happiness stamp set and bundle. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in for Coffee and a Card today. I love being with you on Facebook Live. It's seriously my favorite hour of the week. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back soon with more projects. In the meantime, don't forget to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you soon.